group here, and I'm sure you're in for a very, very pleasant evening. Peggy and Nelson Runger are not strangers here at Southampton Estates or to the residents. We have enjoyed their programs earlier this year and also in 2006. Please give the Rungers a warm Southampton Estates welcome back.
Thank you, Don, and thank you. It's a terrible way to start a program by apologizing. But that's what I have to do. I have done nothing this evening except make mistakes. Sue Waddington got in touch with me about a month ago, and she had seen the item in the Philadelphia Inquirer about a reading I did at the Langhorne Library from James Michener's Tales of the South Pacific. And she said, could you do the same thing here? Gave me a couple of dates and we picked a date. And then I got to thinking, that reading was done at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And this is 7 o'clock in the evening. And I have had meals at Southampton Estates, and I know how well fed you people are. And it just occurred to me, maybe that's 45, 50 minutes of solid reading is not the best thing for 7 o'clock at night. So I emailed Sue a couple of weeks ago, and I said, Sue, I would rather do a program much more mixed and shorter items involving both Peggy and myself. And she emailed back and said, fine, do whatever you want. But apparently all of her publicity has said, I'm going to do Michener's Tales of the South Pacific. We pulled in tonight to the guard shack, and I put down the window, and so it said, Sue Waddington has booked us here to do a program tonight. Oh, he says, you're going to do James Michener. I said, well, actually, no, I'm not. Oh, he says, well, all right, you know what you're going to do, so we can't. That was my first apology. Second thing is, we pulled into a parking spot out here in front of the main entrance, and I don't know why, but the theft alarm on my car went off. And it went on for like, 30 seconds, and then stopped. I thought, oh, well, good, okay. So we started to get out and went on again. It did it 4 times. So if you hear horns blowing and lights flashing, it's my car. I've owned this car since September 2006, and I still don't know how to do everything on it. Finally, I got up here, and wouldn't you know, the seat I sat in belongs to this lady in the front left row here, so I had to apologize to her. I'm sorry. Well, Peggy and I are both very glad to be back at Southampton Estates. We always feel comfortable and relaxed with you people because you can look out and see you, and you're here to enjoy yourselves, and that's great. We're always looking for suggestions, new material, different approaches to organizing a program. And last year, 2 of your residents gave me the suggestion, next time, more her, less you. So, like a good manager, we have adjusted the batting order and the lineup, and I hope you'll find the new arrangement satisfactory. Last year, a man named Sam Berman from Texas spent 2 weeks on business in London. He and the staff at his hotel sent memos and notes back and forth to each other concerning a problem he was having at the hotel. Some thoughtful member of the staff saved all of this correspondence, collected it, and turned it over to the Times of London. Well, of course, the newspaper was delighted to print the correspondence for its readers, and we're happy to share it with you. Dear maid, please do not leave any more of those little bars of soap in my bathroom, since I have brought my own bath-sized dial. Please remove the 6 unopened little bars from the shelf under the medicine chest and another 3 in the shower soap dish. They are in my way. Thank you, S. Berman.
Dear room 635, I am not your regular maid. She will be back tomorrow, Thursday, from her day off. I took the 3 hotel soaps out of the shower dish as you requested. The 6 bars on your shelf I took out of your way and put on top of your Kleenex dispenser in case you should change your mind. This leaves only the 3 bars I left today, which my instructions from the management is to leave 3 soaps daily. I hope this is satisfactory. Kathy, relief maid.
Dear maid, I hope you are my regular maid. Apparently, Kathy did not tell you about my note to her concerning the little bars of soap. When I got back to my room this evening, I found you had added 3 little camées to the shelf under my medicine chest. I'm going to be here in the hotel for 2 weeks and have brought my own bath-sized dial, so I won't need those 6 little camées which are on the shelf. They are in my way when shaving, brushing teeth, etc. Please remove them, S. Berman.
Dear Mr. Berman, my day off was last Wednesday, so the relief maid left 3 hotel soaps, which we are instructed by the management. I took the 6 soaps which were in your way on the shelf and put them in the soap dish where the dial was. I put the dial in the medicine cabinet for your convenience. I didn't remove the 3 complimentary soaps, which are always placed inside the medicine cabinet for all new check-ins and which you did not object to when you checked in last Monday. Please let me know if I can be of further assistance. Your regular maid, Kathy. Dear Mr. Berman, the assistant manager, Mr. Kinsetter, informed me this morning that you called him last evening and said you were unhappy with your maid service. I have assigned a new girl to your room. I hope you will accept my apologies for any past inconveniences. If you have any future complaints, please contact me so I can give it my personal attention. Call extension 1108 between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Thank you, Elaine Carmen, housekeeper.
Dear Miss Carmen, it is impossible to contact you by phone since I leave the hotel for business at 7:45 a.m. and don't get back before 5:30 or 6 p.m. That's the reason I called Mr. Kinsetter last night. You were already off duty. I only asked Mr. Kinsetter if he could do anything about those little bars of soap. The new maid you assigned me must have thought I was a new check-in today, since she left another 3 bars of hotel soap in my medicine cabinet, along with her regular delivery of 3 bars on the bathroom shelf. In just 5 days here, I have accumulated 24 little bars of soap. Why are you doing this to me, S. Berman?
Dear Mr. Berman, your maid Kathy has been instructed to stop delivering soap to your room and remove the extra soaps. If I can be of further assistance, please call extension 1108 between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Thank you, Elaine Carmen, housekeeper.
Dear Mr. Kinsetter, my bath-sized dial is missing. Every bar of soap was taken from my room last night, including my bath-sized dial. I came in last night and had to call the bellhop in your room, since our maids are instructed to leave 3 bars of soap each time they service a room. The situation will be rectified immediately. Please accept my apologies for the inconvenience. Martin L. Kensetter, Assistant Manager. Dear Mrs. Carmen, who in the world left 54 little bars of Camay in my room? I came in last night and found 54 little bars of Camay. I don't want 54 little bars of soap. I want my 1 dang bar of bath-size dial. Do you realize I have 54 little bars of soap in here? All I want is my bath-size dial. Please give me back my bath-size dial. S. Berman.
Dear Mr. Berman, you complained of too much soap in your room, so I had them removed. Then you complained to Mr. Kensetter that all your soap was missing, so I personally returned them. The 24 Camays which had been taken, and the 3 Camays you are supposed to receive daily. I don't know anything about the 4 cashmere bouquets. Obviously, your maid Kathy did not know I had returned your soaps, so she also brought 24 Camays plus the 3 daily Camays. I don't know where you got this idea that this hotel issues bath-size dial. I was able to locate some bath-size ivory, which I left in your room. Elaine Carmen, housekeeper.
Dear Mrs. Carmen, just a short note to bring you all up to date on my latest soap inventory. As of today, I possess on the shelf under medicine cabinet 18 Camay in 4 stacks of 4 and 1 stack of 2. On the Kleenex dispenser, 11 Camay in 2 stacks of 4 and 1 stack of 3. On the bedroom dresser, 1 stack of 3 cashmere bouquet, 1 stack of 4 hotel-size ivory, and 8 Camay in 2 stacks of 4. Inside the medicine cabinet, 14 Camay in 3 stacks of 4 and 1 stack of 2. In the shower soap dish, 6 Camay, very moist. On the northeast corner of tub, 1 cashmere, slightly used. On the northwest corner of tub, 6 Camay in 2 stacks of 3. Please ask Kathy when she services my room to make sure the stacks are neatly piled and dusted. Also, please advise her that stacks of more than 4 have a tendency to tip. May I suggest that my bedroom windowsill is not in use and will make an excellent place for future soap deliveries. One more thing. I have purchased another bar of bath-size dial, which I am keeping in the hotel vault in order to avoid further misunderstandings. S. Berman. Now, thank you. Next time you're checking into or out of a hotel room, you get one of those little bars of soap, you'll remember. Prize it. We think of people as having gender, male or female. We don't often think of non-living things having a gender, but they do, and here are some of them.
Ziploc bags are male because they hold everything in, but you can see right through them.
Copiers are female because once turned off, it takes a while to warm them up again. It's an effective reproductive device if the right buttons are pushed, but can wreak havoc if the wrong buttons are pushed.
Tires are male because they go bald and are often overinflated.
Sponges are female because they're soft, squeezable, and they retain water.
Hot air balloons are male because to get them to go anywhere, you have to light a fire under them. And of course, there's that hot air part.
Web pages are female because they're always getting hit on.
Subways are male because they use the same old lines to pick people up.
Hourglasses are female because over time the weight shifts to the bottom.
Cars are male because they haven't changed much over the last 5,000 years, but are handy to have around.
Remote controls are female. Ah, you thought they'd be male. However, consider this. It gives a man pleasure. He'd be lost without it. And while he doesn't always know the right buttons to push, he keeps on trying. Now, we've all learned about the creation of the Garden of Eden and everything. And people have wondered, why was it necessary to have Eve created? So here are 10 reasons why Eve was created. Reason number 10.
God was worried that Adam would frequently become lost in the garden because he wouldn't ask for directions.
Reason number 9.
God knew that one day Adam would require someone to locate and hand him his remote.
Reason number 8.
God knew Adam would never go out and buy himself a new fig leaf when his wore out, and would therefore need Eve to buy one for him.
Reason number 7.
God knew Adam would never be able to make a doctor's, dentist, or haircut appointment for himself.
Reason number 6.
God knew Adam would never remember which night to put the garbage on the curb.
Reason number 5.
God knew that if the world was to be populated, men would never be able to handle the pain and discomfort of childbearing.
Reason number 4.
As the keeper of the garden, Adam would never remember where he left his tools.
Reason number 3.
Apparently, Adam needed someone to blame his troubles on when God caught him hiding in the garden.
Reason number 2.
As the Bible says, it is not good for man to be alone.
And the number 1 reason why Eve was created.
When God finished the creation of Adam, he stepped back, scratched his head, and said, "I can do better than that."
Now, here are 10 commandments about marriage.
Marriages, number 1, marriages are made in heaven, but so again are thunder and lightning. Commandment number 2, if you want your spouse to listen and pay strict attention to every word you say, talk in your sleep.
Commandment number 3, marriage is grand, and divorce is at least 100 grand. Commandment number 4, married life is very frustrating. In the first year of marriage, the man speaks and the woman listens. In the second year, the woman speaks and the man listens. In the third year, they both speak and the neighbors listen.
Commandment 5, when a man opens the door of his car for his wife, you can be sure of one thing: either the car is new or the wife is.
Commandment number 6. Marriage is when a man and woman become as one. The trouble starts when they try to decide which one.
Commandment 7. Before marriage, a man will lie awake all night thinking about something you said. After marriage, he'll fall asleep before you finish talking.
Commandment number 8. Every man wants a wife who is beautiful, understanding, economical, and a good cook. But the law only allows one wife.
Commandment 9. Every woman wants a man who is handsome, understanding, economical, and a considerate lover. But again, the law only allows one husband.
Commandment number 10. Man is incomplete until he marries. After that, he is finished. Now, women have a language all their own. I certainly don't need to tell you that. But it is important for men to realize that and to be able to interpret that language. Here are some words that women use and what they really mean.
Fine.
This is a word women use to end an argument when they are right and you need to shut up.
5 minutes.
This is half an hour. It's equivalent to the 5 minutes that your football game is going to last until you take the garbage out.
Nothing.
This is the calm before the storm. This means something, and you should be on your toes. Arguments that begin with nothing usually end in fine.
Go ahead.
This is a dare, not permission. Don't do it. This is not actually a word, but a non-verbal statement often misunderstood by men. A loud sigh means she thinks you are an idiot and wonders why she is wasting her time standing here and arguing with you over nothing.
That's okay.
This is one of the most dangerous statements a woman can make to a man. That's okay means she wants to think long and hard before deciding how and when you will pay for your mistake.
Thanks.
A woman is thanking you. Do not question it or faint. Just say, "You're welcome."
Thanks a lot.
This is much different from thanks. A woman will say, "Thanks a lot," when she is really ticked off at you. It signifies that you have hurt her in some callous way and will be followed by a loud sigh. Be careful not to ask what is wrong after the loud sigh, as she will only say, "Nothing." I hope this clears up any misunderstandings you may have experienced. When Osama bin Laden died, George Washington met him at the pearly gate. He slapped him across the face and yelled, "How dare you try to destroy the nation I helped conceive?" Patrick Henry approached, punched him in the nose, and shouted, "You wanted to end our liberties, but you failed." James Madison followed, kicked him in the groin, and said, "This is why I allowed our government to provide for the common defense." Thomas Jefferson was next, beat Osama with a long cane, and snarled, "It was evil men like you who inspired me to write the Declaration of Independence." The beatings and thrashings continued as George Mason, James Monroe, and 66 other early Americans unleashed their anger on the terrorist leader. As Osama lay bleeding and in pain, an angel approached. Bin Laden wept and said, "This is not what you promised me." The angel replied, "What did you think I said? I told you there would be 72 Virginians waiting for you in paradise." A recently retired rich couple from New York City, now living in Boca Raton, were getting ready to go out to dinner. The wife came out of the bedroom and said,
Darling, do you want me to wear this Chanel suit or the Gucci one?
"Do I care?" he replied. A few minutes later, she again came out of the bedroom and said to her husband,
Shall I wear my Cartier watch or my Rolex?
"Who gives a damn?" he said. A few more minutes passed, and again she came out of the bedroom and said to her husband,
Darling, shall I wear my 5-carat pear-shaped diamond ring or my 6-carat round diamond ring with the baguettes?
To which he responded, "Hey, I don't really care. But if you don't get your act together and soon, we're gonna miss the early bird special." With a couple celebrating their 50th anniversary at the temple, the rabbi asked Harold, the husband, to take a few minutes and share insight into how he managed to live with the same woman all those years. Harold told the audience, "Well, I treated her with respect, spent money on her, but mostly I took her traveling on special occasions." The rabbi inquired, "Trips to where?" "Well, for our 25th anniversary, I took her to Beijing, China." The rabbi then said, "What a terrific example you are to all husbands, Harold. Please, tell the audience what you're going to do for your wife on your 50th anniversary." "I'm going to go get her." Harry's will provided $30,000 for an elaborate funeral. As the last guests departed the affair, his wife, Helen, turned to her brother.
Well, I'm sure Harry would be very pleased.
"I'm sure you're right," replied her brother, who lowered his voice and leaned in really close. "How much did this really cost?"
All of it, 30,000.
"No, I mean, it was very nice, but $30,000?
The funeral was $6,500. I donated $500 to the church. The wake, food, and drinks were another $500. The rest went for the memorial stone.
Her brother computed quickly. 22,500 for a memorial stone? My God, how big is it?
2.5 carats.
This spring, Peggy and I have been enjoying the Mitford series. Have some of you read some? Oh, great. It's a charming group of novels by Jan Karon, set in a small mountain town in western North Carolina. Father Tim Cavanaugh, a leading character in the series, is the rector of the local Episcopal church. I want to share with you a typical scene of small town life from the last book in this series. The church is preparing for its annual fundraising bazaar. A big moneymaker at this event has always been Esther Cunningham's 2-layer orange marmalade cakes. Esther has so protected the recipe for these cakes that she has never written it down. It's all in Esther's head. had a bad fall that broke her arm and, what's worse, cracked her jaw so that it has to be wired shut. A bunch of the church ladies are in Esther's hospital room to try somehow to get the recipe from Esther. When Father Tim walked into Esther's hospital room on Thursday morning, her bed was surrounded by church volunteers. One of them held a notepad at the ready, and he felt a definite tension in the air. They didn't even look up as he came in. Hesse leaned over Esther, speaking as if the patient's hearing had been severely impaired by the fall. "Esther," she shouted, "you've got to cooperate. The doctor said he'd give us 20 minutes and not a second more." said Esther, desperately trying to speak through clamped jaws. "Why couldn't she write something?" asked Venita Bentley. "I see 2 fingers sticking out of her cast." said Esther. "You can't write with 2 fingers. Have you ever tried writing with 2 fingers? "Oh, Lord," said Venita. "Then you think of something. We've got to hurry." "We need an alphabet board," Hesse declared. "Who has time to go looking for an alphabet board? Where would we find one anyway?" "Make one," instructed the co-chair. "Write down the alphabet on your notepad and let her point till she spells it out." said Esther. "She can't move her arm to point. So we can move the notepad." Esther raised the forefinger of her right hand. "1 finger. 1. Right, Esther? If it's yes, blink once. If it's no, blink twice." She blinked once, so it's yes. 1. 1 what, Esther? Cup? Tablespoon? Venita, are you writing this down? 2 blinks, said Marge Crowder. "So it's not a cup and it's not a tablespoon." "Butter," said somebody. "Is it 1 stick of butter?" She blinked twice. That's no. "Try again. 1 teaspoon? Oh, thank God. Venita, 1 teaspoon. Right, but 1 teaspoon of what? Salt? Oh, please. You wouldn't use a teaspoon of salt in a cake. "Excuse me for living," said Venita. "Maybe cinnamon. Look, 1 blink. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon." "Hallelujah," they chorused. Esther wagged her finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Someone counted. "5 what?" asked Venita. "Cups? No. Teaspoons? No. Tablespoons?" 1 blink. "It's tablespoon. 5 tablespoons." "Oh, mercy. I'm so glad I took my heart pill this morning," said Hesse. "Is it of butter? I just have a feeling it's butter. Look, 1 blink." 5 tablespoons of butter, shouted the crowd in unison. "Okay, in cakes, you have to have baking powder. How much baking powder, Esther?" Esther held up 1 finger. 1 teaspoon? said Esther, looking desperate. 1 tablespoon? asked Venita. "You wouldn't use a tablespoon of baking powder in a cake," sniffed Marge Crowder. "Look," said Venita, "I'm helping y'all just to be nice. My husband personally thinks I am a great cook, but I don't do cakes. Okay, so if you'd like someone else to take these notes, just step right up and help yourself, thank you." "You're doing great, honey. Keep going," said Hesse. "Look at that," exclaimed Venita. "She's got 1 finger out straight and the other one bent back. Is that 1.5? It is! She blinked once. I declare, that's the cleverest thing I ever saw. Okay, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder." Everyone applauded. "This is a killer," said Venita, fanning herself with the notebook. "Don't you think we could sell 2-layer triple chocolates just as easy?" said Esther, her eyes burning with disapproval. Hesse snorted. "This could take till kingdom come. How much time have we got left? 10 minutes? Maybe 11? 11 minutes? Are you kidding me? We'll never finish this in 11 minutes. I think she told me she uses buttermilk in the recipe. Esther, how much buttermilk?" Esther made the 1.5 finger gesture. 1.5 cups, right? Great. Now we're cooking. More applause. Okay, commanded the co-chair. What have we got so far? Vanita, being excessively nearsighted, held the notepad up for close inspection. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 5 tablespoons of butter, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, and 1½ cups of buttermilk. I've got to sit down, said the head of the food committee, pressing her temples. It looks like Esther's dropping off to sleep. Oh, Lord. Esther, honey, don't go to sleep. You can sleep tonight. Could somebody ask the nurse for a stress tab? Wondered Vanita. Do you think they'd mind? I've written checks to the hospital fund for 9 years, going on 10. By the way, asked Marge Crowder, is this recipe for 1 layer or 2? Father Tim decided to step into the hall for a breath of fresh air. Well, I'm sure that those of you who have read the Mitford series would recommend to the others that almost every page has something that will either bring a smile to your lips or a chuckle or a tear. There are marvelously poignant scenes in these books. And if you're sitting by yourself, try reading some of the dialogue out loud. It's wonderful. This woman has the speech of people in a small town down to perfection. It's wonderful. Now, early in the years of a courtship or a marriage, problems develop that need to be resolved. And this neat little song by George and Ira Gershwin is about one of those problems. I say either.
And I say either.
I say neither.
And I say neither.
Either.
Either.
Neither.
Neither.
Let's call the whole thing off. I like potato.
And I like potato.
I like tomato.
And I like tomato.
Potato.
Potato.
Tomato.
Tomato.
Let's call the whole thing off. But oh, if we call the whole thing off, then we must part.
And oh, if we ever part, then that would break my heart.
So if I like pajamas,
And I like pajamas.
I'll wear pajamas.
And give up pajamas.
For we know we need each other, so we better call the calling off. Off. Let's call the whole thing off. Many of you have read to your children or grandchildren the Dr. Seuss book about how the Grinch stole Christmas. Some very clever person took that poem's meter and wrote some new, very timely words. Since Memorial Day was just last week, it seems appropriate to enjoy this new version now. Every U down in Uville liked the U.S. a lot. But the Binch, who lived far east of Uville, did not. The Binch hated U.S., the whole U.S. way. Now don't ask me why, for nobody can say. It could be his turban was screwed on too tight, or the sun from the desert had beaten too bright. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his turban, he stood facing Uville, the part that was urban. They're doing their business, he smiled. snarled from his perch. They're raising their families, they're going to church. They're leading the world and their empire is thriving. I must keep the S's and U's from surviving. Tomorrow, he knew, all the U's and S's would put on their pants and their shirts and their dresses. They'd go to their offices, playgrounds, and schools, and abide by their U and S values and rules. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every U down in Uville, the tall and the small, would stand all united, each U and each S, and they'd sing Uville's ballad. God bless us, God bless. All around their twin towers of Uville they'd stand, and their voices would drown every sound in the land. I must stop that singing, Binch said with a smirk. And he had an idea that might work. The Binch stole some U airplanes in U morning hours and crashed them right into the Uville Twin Towers. They'll wake to disaster, he snickered so sour. And how can they sing when they can't find a tower? The Binch cocked his ear as they woke from their sleeping, all set to enjoy their U wailing and weeping. Instead, he heard something that started quite low, and it built up quite slow, but it started to grow. And the Binch heard the most unpredictable thing, and he couldn't believe it. They started to sing. He stared down at Uville, not trusting his eyes. What he saw was a shocking, disgusting surprise. Every U down in Uville, the tall and the small, was singing without any towers at all. He hadn't stopped Uville from singing. It sung. For down deep in the hearts of the old and the young, those twin towers were standing, called hope and called pride. And you can't smash the towers we hold deep inside. So we circle the sites where our heroes did fall, with a hand in each hand of the tall and the small, and we mourn for our losses while knowing we'll cope, for we still have inside that you pride and you hope. For America means a bit more than tall towers. It means more than wealth or political powers. It's more than our enemies ever could guess. So may God bless America. Bless us. God bless. Thank you. Now, this is a bonus that Peggy didn't know I was going to do. But you are such a responsive audience that in spite of the sense of trepidation I feel whenever I do this thing, and I've only done this for one other audience, I'm going to do it. Some of you know that I narrate books for a couple of companies, mostly the company called Recorded Books. And 21 years ago, when I went to audition in New York to be a narrator, they had me read various things for about an hour. And then the studio manager brought me this, and she said, I don't want you to take any time to study this. I want you to just read it into the microphone, and I'm going to record it. This is what I had to read. Petey was a snake, only so big. Petey lived in a pit with his mother. One day, Petey was hissing in the pit when his mother said, Petey, don't hiss in the pit. Go outside the pit to hiss. So Petey went outside the pit to hiss. He was hissing all around when he finally leaned over and hissed in the pit. Petey's mother heard Petey hissing in the pit and said, "Petey, if you must hiss in a pit, go over to Mrs. Potts' pit and hiss in her pit." Petey went over to Mrs. Potts' pit to hiss in her pit, but Mrs. Pot was not at home, so he hissed in her pit anyway. While Petey was hissing in Mrs. Potts' pit, Mrs. Pot came home and found Petey hissing in her pit. She said, "Petey, if you must hiss in a pit, don't hiss in my pit. Go to your own pit and hiss." This made Petey very sad, and he cried all the way home. When Petey got home, his mother saw him crying and said, "Petey, what's the matter?" Petey said, "I went over to Mrs. Pot to hiss in her pit, but Mrs. Pot wasn't home, so I hissed in her pit anyway. Mrs. Pot came home and found me hissing in her pit and said, 'Petey, if you must hiss in a pit, go to your own pit and hiss. Don't hiss in my pit.'" This made Petey's mother very angry. "Why, that mean old lady," she said. "I knew Mrs. Pot when she didn't have a pit to hiss in." Thank you.
I certainly did not know he was going to do that.
Now, one more thing. You have probably been wondering about this piece of vegetation between the stands. 32 or 33 years ago, we brought back from North Carolina a little southern magnolia tree. It was about 4 feet high. And we planted it in our backyard. And for 8-10 years, it would lose all its leaves in the winter and would look terrible. It grew, but it never had any flowers or anything on it. About 12 or 13 years ago, it started to bloom. Now it's about, I would say, 35 to 40 feet high. And it produces big white flowers that sometimes when they fully open up are this big around, and they smell wonderful. And tonight, we are going to make a presentation of this first magnolia blossom of the year to Joyce and Jonas Green. Since I took your chair, I'm going to let you get the first whip. That's sweet. That's sweet. Here you are, Joe. Yep, you can keep the jug too. I feel a little bit bad about the Mitchner thing. And what I'm going to do is contact Sue Waddington. And if you people would like sometime in the middle of the day, the Tales of the South Pacific thing, Sue and I can certainly work out an amicable agreement